Well, the Brooklyn Nets got a multitude of problems on their hand right now. Kevin Durant's down due to injury again. Kyrie Irving can only play in road games due to the New York City mandate surrounding the vaccine. And now James Harden, the guy who's been the healthiest thus far this season, who over his career really rarely misses games. I know he had that stretch with Brooklyn last year, but even he admitted that a lot of that was due to him not being in good game shape. Now James Harden's got some concerns on his mind. So here's the thing. James Harden, there's no secret, is going to test free agency this summer. He's eligible for it. You know, he did not sign an extension coming into this season. He said, hey, I've never been a free agent. It's something that intrigues me. The notion of seeing what's out there for me. I'm sure James Harden, I think he's like 32 years of age right now. I'm sure he wants to be courted once again, have people fly their private jets on in to get the bearded one services, right? So James Harden is going to be a free agent in a few months here. His Brooklyn Nets are right there in the thick of things for the number one seed out east. Here's the thing. I don't think anybody who seriously understands the game of basketball looks at this Brooklyn Nets team as a serious contender if Kyrie Irving ain't going to be able to play home games. It's kind of like a danged if you do, danged if you don't. The Nets would almost be better if they were not a top 4 seed. That way they could potentially have Kyrie Irving 4 times in a series versus 3 if they're the favorite and the team with the better record in the series. It's weird. Here's where we are in our society. James Harden reportedly is not happy with the Kyrie Irving mandate, and obviously wants Kyrie Irving to get vaccinated because it would mean that they would have Kyrie Irving available, more nights than not. Apparently, Harden is not happy with living in Brooklyn right now. I'm going to be honest with you. I lived in Connecticut, and I often took the train to New York City. That life wasn't for me either. James Harden, I know he's got California roots, but the bulk of his career where he became the man was in Houston, down south. It's just different living in the South versus living on the East Coast. And if that ain't your vibe, I don't care how much money you got, that ain't your vibe. I mean, Harden's got all the money in the world, can go to any city he wants to after games, before games, whatever. Like, for him, I'm assuming Brooklyn just ain't it. And if I'm the bearded one, if I don't like where I live, I'm rich, and I don't like my team, I'm the one without the championship. Kyrie Irving already got one. Kevin Durant's already got one. If I don't like my team, if I don't feel like everybody's 100% committed as a team, and if I don't like where I live, if Daryl Morey and the Philadelphia 76ers were able to make a call to get me to come over to Philly, maybe I do it. We obviously know Daryl Morey loves James Harden, and James Harden loves Daryl Morey. He's the VP over in Philadelphia. For those who don't know, he was the VP and general manager for the Houston Rockets. I mean, Daryl Morey literally wrote a letter to James Harden the day he resigned from the position, just professing his love to the bearded one. He loves James Harden. If you look at what's going over in Philly, Ben Simmons hasn't played at all this year. The Sixers are competitive with Joel Embiid just having another phenomenal year, but you're wasting his years by not putting a championship contending team around him. If you're Philly, if you're Brooklyn, do you consider a Ben Simmons for James Harden-like swap with obviously some pieces incorporated in on either side to make this deal work? Is that something you consider? Well, for the Brooklyn Nets, they're not doing it right now. They have let it be known to any team out there, including Philadelphia, James Harden will not be traded at the deadline. We know he's got concerns. We know he doesn't live in Brooklyn, love living in Brooklyn. But the Nets are like, look, we gave up a lot in that 14 deal to get Harden, including Karis LeVert, a guy that was consistent, if nothing else. We're not just going to let James Harden go at the deadline for Ben Simmons, a guy that can't shoot, when we need a shooter right now with KD being down and Kyrie unavailable for home games. That literally doesn't make sense for Brooklyn right now as they try to compete for a championship this season. They claim Harden behind the scenes is telling them all the right things, but there is no secret. I believe Harden's going to end up in Philadelphia in a few months. And there's no secret Harden is going to get to Philadelphia. I think that's where we're at. Harden is going to Philadelphia. I don't know that 100%. I'm like 88% sure James Harden will be a Philadelphia 76er next year. Unless Brooklyn wins the championship. And even then, I don't know if he's going to stay. He is going to Philly. If you look at it, makes sense. Philly's not a South team, obviously, but I feel like for Harden, he can get a little more comfortable than he can in Brooklyn right now. If you look at just the landscape of Philly, their ownership, Michael Rubin, a guy that's cool with a lot of rappers behind the scenes, Lil Baby included, and Lil Baby and James Harden are like best friends. I just could see him being a Sixer. And Embiid is in the middle, mandating things. You give Harden a real shot to go against Giannis, one of his arch nemesis of the league, with Joel Embiid being the best player on Philly. That could allow Harden to, cook with Chris Middleton guarding him. I'm telling you, man, I just believe Harden is going to end up in Philly when it's all said and done. It won't happen at the deadline, though, as the Nets make it clear they're not trading James Harden right now, and I don't blame them one bit. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this one in the comment box below. If you were the Brooklyn Nets, would you consider a Ben Simmons for James Harden swap because there's a chance you might end up with nothing? Or would you maybe go in the direction of a Kyrie for Ben Simmons swap? Let me know what you think in the comment section below.